Some card readings make complete sense, and yet still they feel flat. You can listen to the reading, understand every part of it, recognize the meanings being used, and yet something about it doesn't fully connect. It's accurate enough on the surface, and yet something about it still feels disconnected. Then there are other readings that stay with you because they feel personal and specific to you. It's not that they're more complicated, it's because they feel personal, specific, as though the reading is actually saying something rather than simply explaining the cards. And that difference matters more now than it ever used to, because surface level interpretation has become very accessible. People can pull cards, search for meanings, use AI, and receive a technically correct interpretation very quickly. The information itself is no longer difficult to access. However, information isn't the same thing as depth. A deeper reading involves more than simply interpreting what each card means on an individual basis. It comes from what the reader notices beyond the obvious. Sometimes that's atmosphere. A spread can carry a certain emotional feeling running through it that isn't immediately visible from the card meanings alone. You can sense tension somewhere, or hesitation, or pressure, even before you fully understand why. Sometimes it's small details inside the cards themselves. A symbol that suddenly stands out. A colour that repeats across the spread. A figure looking away from another instead of towards it. These things create nuance inside a reading. They personalise it. They shift it away from being a generic interpretation into something that feels connected to the person sitting in front of you. And often those details matter more than people realise, because two people can pull exactly the same cards and receive completely different readings, depending on what's actually being noticed within them. This is where readings start to become layered, rather than simply interpretive. And one of the biggest shifts happens through positionings. This is the part that completely changes how a spread reads. A card doesn't only carry its own meaning. Its position changes how that meaning functions within the reading itself. The interaction between cards changes it again. A card sitting in a current position feels different from the same card appearing in an underlying influencing position, for example. A card moving towards another card creates a different feeling than one turned away from it, for example. A repeating symbol in opposing positions can completely alter the emotional tone of a spread. And once you start reading that way, the spread becomes something much more alive. It stops feeling like separate interpretations placed beside each other. It starts to feel connected. It starts to have movement in it, relationship in it, narrative in it. That's what takes readings to a completely different level, because the depth isn't coming from memorising more meanings. It's coming from seeing interaction, placement, tension, emphasis, repetition, and emotional atmosphere across a spread as a whole. And intuition plays a huge role in that. Not in some vague or mystical sense, just in the ability to notice what actually matters inside the reading. What draws your attention first? What keeps pulling your eye back? What feels emotionally significant even before you can logically explain why? That intuitive noticing is often what creates resonance for the person receiving the reading. It's what makes them feel understood rather than simply interpreted. That distinction is becoming more important now, because when surface level interpretations are available everywhere, deeper reading skill matters more, not less. The meanings themselves, they may not change. However, resonance comes from something deeper than meanings alone. It comes from the reader's ability to see what's happening underneath the obvious layer of the cards. The depth of a reading often comes from what the reader notices beyond the obvious.